Hey y'all. Um, I hope that you're doing well wherever you are in this now moment. Hopefully you're coasting along in this game of life. I wanted to share something that's been coming up for me and others. So, I'm guessing it's probably happening on the larger scale. So, so I get all comfy for this one. So, y'all, there's a lot of changes happening in the earth plane, and there's a lot of what feels to be loss. Yeah. People are having their jobs, their sources of income, their relationships shift. Things that they thought that they could continue doing in the same way that they had been doing is no longer in alignment. So this is what I want to talk about. So, nose itching. We're moving into a higher frequency of a consciousness. So we are getting pummeled with solar energy, as well as the collective human is shifting our frequency. We are starting to wake up, right? The more we're starting to do our own internal exploration, navigation, and discovery, when we do that, especially when we're not meeting it with judgment or fear, we ascend, right? We raise our frequency because we're opening up our mind, our third eye. We're opening up to possibilities, and usually it can lead to more compassion and grace for ourselves and therefore others, right? It leads to more love. So on this collective level, especially as we're watching kind of horrific things play out, between this group is taking over this country and this country is doing this to this country, and people are being left behind, and there are bombs, and there are this and there are that and the other, and masks and mandates and jabs and it's a lot. So with all of this stuff going on, what I'm finding is that there's a shift that's happening in the polarity. So to me, the goal is to be as neutral as you can. Still you're going to have the experience and feel the feels. That being said, what I'm noticing is that there's becoming a split, and it's splitting into these two components of human, and one is that is more loving and compassionate and kind, more curious, more creative. Okay, so my job is mandating I do something to my body I don't want to do. Well, then what am I gonna do? What if I don't I'm not gonna do that to my body if it's not in alignment. So that means I get to find a new job. I get to find a new career path. I get to come up with different alternatives for me to share my love and my medicine, for me to receive an energetic exchange that helps to support my survival. So there's this way of looking at this split that's actually anchoring us into a higher frequency and expanding our light quotient within our body and then within the communal human cell. Then there's this other group, as we're pulling in this polarity, not to create division, but rather just to create a space of, like I said, neutrality as the witness. So others are in a group of separation that are looking at all of the things that are happening and feeling and seeing a lot of fear, a lot of judgment, a lot of oppression, right? Which bullying, coercion, and use of power. So that is also going to collect energy itself. It's not as expansive, it's not as light. Literally, it's a heavier consciousness. So what I'm finding is that we're seeing this play out in this human experience. Well, because we're all connected, and the what I see as where we're growing to is this place of more of a unified field, of the oneness in our knowing and in our heart, so that all that we are is a reflection of the oneness that we are, just in unique expressions. So in this place of coming back into this oneness, there's going to be this polarizing effect. And because we are all of one, whatever's happening outside of me is more than likely going to be happening to me too. It's kind of like if the earth quakes, more people are going to feel it than whoever's at the epicenter. So when there is a collective clearing, when something big is happening, it's going to manifest for me and you and a whole bunch of other people in a myriad of ways. So for me, my home relationship is completely shifting in ways that I know is in the highest good. I've spoken with people who, like I said, their jobs aren't working out. They're getting fired. They're getting laid off. They're not being welcomed back. People aren't buying their products all of a sudden. It's a very interesting now. And what I want to share as a perspective from a certain vibration of consciousness that I tend to live in as best I can, is the why. Like, why the fuck are we going through this? So y'all, it's for expansion. Like, we're doing this for expansion. Every time I grow in compassion or kindness or love or peace or joy or whatever, I actually expand. And when I do that, there's a ripple effect that goes far beyond me and into like the whole multiverse region of everything. And because the universe itself is expanding, our sovereign expansion is actually an integral part of nature. We're actually feeding into a natural cycle of evolution, of expansion, so that the death that we experience is far beyond the physical death. It's actually almost like a death every day. It's a death of a relationship, a death of a way of being, a death of a way of thinking, a death of the small self. Like the parts of me are dying. And every time I allow these parts of me to die away, to leave, to shift, and I can find some more grace or love or whatever, I expand. I am becoming a part of this ebb and flow natural life cycle, okay? So that's the reason, I think, for all of this. We're clicking into this natural cycle. Not all of us are. There's another version of human who will still be plugged into a timeline of expansion and contraction. So some people call them false flags, whatever words you want to use, but things happen across the global experience, and it is created to be in a timeline where a lot of people will shrink in, and they either go inward, do the work and expand, or they go inward and they do self-harm and they project out a lot of the discomfort that they're feeling because they don't know how to soothe the cognitive dissonance and the unhealed traumas, right? So it's like all that. And so if you're in that mindset of, I can't handle this, I won't handle this, I choose to not handle this, I'm going to handle this by drugging and distracting myself, or judging or pointing fingers or blaming and shaming and guilting, oh my, then I'm not adding to that natural life cycle of evolution. Rather, I start to feed a system that uses me. They feed on my energy, right? So now I become sick, I become unwell, I start to pay them my money, my insurance money, right? I start paying the pharmaceutical companies to keep me alive, right? Because I've been taught that I have no autonomy and sovereignty and that I'm not remotely able to heal myself or trust myself. It's a very interesting system, this third dimensional matrix. Like you think you get out of one system and then you find out that the other one is just fucking the other one, and then just all making all these like weirdo matrix babies that it's just a continual evolution to get the fuck out. Anyway, but that's what I want to share, is this awareness that we all have a choice. We have a choice. We have the ability to be a discerning human, to either allow what we're seeing outside of ourselves, no matter how close it is, we can allow that to take us down and to do, think, and say things that are harmful to me or to others, so to life on earth. I have that choice. I have that freedom to make that choice. I have the freedom to stay miserable. I have the freedom to tell others what to do and to be unkind and to oppress. I have that freedom. It's lame though. I don't encourage it. Enough people have that freedom and use it, and it's just a bunch of bullies, and it's so stupid. So it's really stupid. I get it, because we're here to grow and evolve and expand. But it's just ridiculous to me. Anyway, so we're pulling apart in a lot of this polarizing reality that we're living in. And I want to acknowledge any of us that are going through a hard time, they're going through a relationship end of any sort, a relationship shift, an unwellness, a death. These are basically, I see this as being almost like mini, M-I-N-I and M-A-N-Y, both many and many deaths, smaller deaths, because of what I see preparing. I see it preparing us for a future where there will be more death that we get to witness and grow through and hold space for. Death of a lot of things, a lot of ways of being, a lot of humans, a lot of people that we love. It may be me, who knows? You know, well, it will be me, I'm guessing, at some point, right? We're all gonna die. We've been taught so much to fear death. I mean, really, like, fear being hurt to the point of death. It's been so conditioned in our programming that we almost are afraid to live, because it's like, well, once I live, then what? Well, then I'll die. But if I can just give myself a slow, painful death, then I'm in control, right? It's like if you've ever had disordered eating, it's always about control, right? It's always about control. So really breaking out of this fear matrix and being at peace with death in whatever form it takes, so that we can expand into joy and to create something new. The new earth reality, that consciousness, is creative and it's new. There's a lot of stuff on this like new earth plane. It's nothing like the third dimensional earth plane matrix that's fear, lack, judgment, and stagnation based. Like, it's not even close to that. So I can't transcend that consciousness unless I thoroughly can be in it and then like kind of rise above it, because it's still gonna be a part of reality. So like, what I'm seeing happening is that all of these death-like experiences that are happening are really just a prelude to the joy that we're about to feel on a bigger scale. We're preparing for something bigger and better. Well, how much prep work do you need to do? Well, that's up to the collective. You know, like how much shit is down in there that we actually have to scoop up. Half of it, I mean, it's like a reality, like genetics and ancestral like traumas and dramas and all the things. And it's also based on what the collective hive mind is actually thinking and projecting. Like if people are starting to put timelines out there like, you know, we're never going to reach a place of world peace. You just literally put a fucking timeline on there. Like, stop. It'll take at least until this person's out of office, or that this person is in office, or that this clone is not being cloned anymore, or whatever. Like when we put these timelines of like, not like until this happens, this won't happen, then we just get stuck into that. And then we are mirroring messages of the third dimensional matrix consciousness that we're trying to but that we're naturally evolving out of. So it's like we don't even realize that we're staying plugged in by our conscious or subconscious thought forms. We're here to grow and expand in light. That means we're going to see all the darkness. We're going to have so many opportunities to process like grief around death, to embrace death, to learn how to be sovereign in like so many ways, to learn how to actually manage our own internal nervous system, endocrine system, body systems. And when I say manage, I mean like work in collaboration with, not try to control it and subdue it and micromanage it, and also not let it like totally just like run willy-nilly, but actually run each other in a symbiotic way. Like if until we do that, we're going to be influenced and controlled or ran or whatever by the outside operating systems that will keep us in that fear. So I feel like we're just going to have more opportunities to be able to go into this and take this stewardship of ourselves, our body and our mind and our spirit, as well as reclaim the stewardship of the land. You know, how to actually grow your own food. Like, we're going to have opportunities for this, y'all. So like, you can either learn it now, whether you got time and space, or you can be in total freak out mode because you just realized that you've been micromanaged and controlled by your employer or by your church or by your government or by the patriarchy or by your family or whatever. So the reason I wanted to share this is because all of this loss, these feelings of loss, the mantra that keeps coming back is trust as an act of devotion. Like, no matter what I'm going through, trust as an act of trust as an act of devotion. I read it somewhere. And that being in trust and devoted to trusting that all of everything is working out in a way for me to grow and evolve and expand my capacity of and for love, then I'm allowing myself to be in that natural cycle. If we can get into this natural cycle and not so much of that third dimensional matrix plug into the fear, lack, judgment, and stagnation programs, but if I'm in this like higher frequency consciousness of evolution and expansion and love and presence, I'm not only going to be more well, I'm going to amplify that outside of myself. I'm going to be just like a healer in my being, because that's what we're just like quantumly exuding from like ourself. But we are going to have more like spiritual gifts and stuff like pop online. We'll be tapping into more CDs like spiritual gifts, you know, and we'll be tapping more into the earth consciousness and the cosmic consciousness. So we'll be able to hear a calling, trust ourselves, and we'll be able to move accordingly. So that even if there are like epic earth plane shifts, we'll know where to go in the right timeline. It just does. You know, we'll know where to migrate, where to move, where to groove, where to hunker down. Everything will really start to align for us. And we won't even like consciously maybe even recognize it. We'll just be like in flow. Like, oh yeah, I just happened to go here on vacation, and that's when something else happened, and it was just perfect timing. But my reminder is that everything that's happening, no matter how good or bad it seems, my reminder is that it is all for an opportunity to grow, heal, and expand. To grow our connection like vertically and like up into this cosmic realm and down into the earth realm, expand through the heart space. You know, we're here to evolve and create. So what's happening is all of this darkness, this heavier consciousness, this density, these old stifling programmings are starting to we're starting to bust through them, y'all. We're literally holding more light. We're busting through them now. Have y'all ever had something on and you y'all okay, so this makes me think about going to the club, and I would get the bracelet things, and at the end of the night I would take my finger and just pull to break it off, because I don't have left-handed scissors, and they would always be on my right hand. I know that doesn't matter. It's a detail that I just like to share. Any hoozles. So I would pull it off, right? And sometimes it would just pop off, easy, no biggie. Sometimes it would pull and it would hurt because I was pulling so hard and it was just resistant to actually breaking, and eventually I would have to cut it, or I would stretch it out far enough to get it over, or it would finally snap and break. That's where we are. Legit. Like, that's the pretty much 110% accurate analogy to where we are in this now. We're busting through it. So there are parts that are like, oh God, before we can push off. I say that because this is not a comfortable time. It's not a comfortable time for many. And at the same time, this might be some of the best times for many of us, because when you're in that state of flow and presence and peace, then you can be with the death and the destruction that is around. You know, I've not had any children, but in my head, it's like being in labor. Like, it may really suck, but you know you're going to get something really cool at the end of it. So you keep pushing until you hear that sound. You know? That's where we are. We're pushing through where it's starting to feel very tight. Where many of us are breaking through some of the latter, I don't want to say the last because it just feels too permanent, but some of the last threads of this consciousness. In fact, if you, many of us have already broken through so many of those threads, so now we're doing it just for the collective, so we can stay in that space of neutrality, right? So that's what's happening too, you know? And all these things that I'm sharing, it's not, this is the only thing that's happening. I'm saying on the big level, this is what I wanted to share on what a big thing that is happening now, not limited to, but a really big part of. So we're busting through this old paradigm, we're busting through these heavier consciousnesses. Wherever you are in your timeline of evolution, you're going to be able to get through this with more ease, and your immune system's going to stay up. You're actually going to be more well. You might get the COVIDicus, and that's okay, because it's not going to like kill you. It's just going to take you out of work for a few days. You're actually going to just be building the antibodies. You're actually going to be getting more well because there was a part of you that was inflamed, had space for healing, for rest, for recovery. And so like COVIDicus is coming in for us to just like be in some stillness, to allow a lot of physical healing actually. So anyway, so reminding us to keep taking really good care of ourselves, like keep putting light within us, letting the light shine out of us, following a frequency of love and compassion and acceptance and creativity, like no matter what you're doing, and still feeling the grief of the loss of this and the frustration at the shift of that and the way that certain people are being treated and the dislike for the way certain things are being handled and the mistrust for perhaps the system that we know we're breaking out of. Like that, all these things are also going to be woven in, because that's just the tapestry of the human experience, so that we can keep evolving and expanding into that universal realm. I see the universal realm as so much more quantum. I mean, it's all quantum. My nose is itching. But the realm that I'm seeing that's like super more quantum, to me, that's where our future self is in waiting. It's like it's the infinite consciousness. So it's like if all that I'm expanding and doing now, it's actually forming my future aspect in this body or in the next iteration. So everything that I'm doing now, when it is in that space of expansion and like, ooh, this sucks. God, this fucking sucks. And I'm trusting this is going somewhere, and God, it sucks. It hurts. And I'm trusting it's going somewhere better. I know this is in the highest good for all. God, this is so painful. God, this oppression, it really sucks, but I know it's leading to more liberation. I know it is. I know it. I feel it. These are the ways that we can continually expand and grow and evolve while still being in our human experience and not bypassing it, and also staying unplugged from that heavy, dense matrix that we are. A lot of people are aware of that, y'all. It's another thing. I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm going to stop recording, but they were just like, not enough people are like woke, which I'm not really a fan of that term. But not enough people are coming together. Not enough people are talking about freedom for all and liberation, and like no one. And I'm like, yeah, it is literally happening all over the earth plane. It just because we're not seeing it on the news or being posted on whatever media platform you choose, just because it's not all over the place doesn't mean that's not a reality. if we can envision the reality that we are all actually ascending and breaking through and shifting through this consciousness together, and especially in the timeline, if we just see it as happening now, like what, that creates it. Like just like physics basics, you gotta see it, believe it, and then all that you do, say, and think, back to the integrity of the previous video I uploaded, all of that integrity is gonna come through you. Like, it is the reality. Like everywhere I'm going, people are coming up to me and just like, the things that they're saying are like, we need to unite. And like, I don't care if you have the jab or not, but like this passport thing and having extra human right privileges because you decide that, because you said okay to putting something in your body, whether you wanted to or not. Like that is not like that's weird. That's not okay. It's not okay for only some living beings to have freedoms and liberation. It's not okay for only certain colored people to have human rights, right? Like these things aren't okay. So now there's this power of privilege. Instead of it just being like, well, you don't have land, so you don't have privilege, or you're this color, so you don't have privilege, or you have this religious belief, so you don't have this privilege. Instead, it's a global experience. So yay that we are connecting on a global scale to unite for love and liberation for all. That's why the things are moving through, whether it's a big thing or a little thing, that feel like a loss or a challenge or a grief, and you feel good and you feel okay and you can handle this. But it's also like, what the fuck? Why am I dealing with this? It's because every little thing you can expand and find more joy in, and then even like use like that, like erotic magic, and like send it out and like direct that energy healing to you, your ancestors in the future. Boom, entanglement magic. Seriously though, but for real. Oh, juicy. Anyway, please just remember that whatever it is you're going through, it doesn't need to be minimized. It doesn't need to be aggrandized. But you can be with it and still be in love, and still be in acceptance, and still be in trust that this is happening so that you can be a bigger, brighter, bolder, better version of you, so you can be the expression of the embodied love and source energy that you are. Like, we forget, first of all, who fucking cares? Because we're just a bunch of particles clustered together based on charges. Like, really, it's all energy. We're made of light and sound. Like, none of this actually fucking matters. None of it matters. And because we matter, we're made of things that create what we call matter. Like, fuck it. Like, let's play with it. Be in the flow. Trust we're going somewhere. Connect. Use your human voice. The platforms that you're like, I'm being censored and this doesn't line and da-da-da-da-da. Get off of it. Create a new platform. Go out in real life. Speak to real people. Create community. Join communities. Go to multiple communities. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Expand. Expand. It's all about expansion. The more the light expands, the less dark there is. And it's interesting, and I know I said I was going to cut this off, but I just want to say this. I always think about the yin and the yang, that the black with the white dot and the white with the black dot, and the wu wei is the middle. Right, that balance. Anyway, it's like there needs to be that dark, there needs to be the light, there needs to be that balance. What we've been in as a humanity, is that we've been in a time of darkness for our whole lives. Like, in our ancestors, like, we've been in the dark time. We've now gone up through, now we're in this like golden age of Aquarius, of all things growth and knowledge, and like shit's changing, but for real, like that's happening. So it's like the light that's coming in, it's not so that there is no darkness, it's so that there's more of a balance in the polarity. We've decided to be polarized beings in this universal experience. it's just been so far polarized and like heavy, dense, oppressive consciousness that it's time to be like, okay, let's get a little balance. So what that's going to look like is it's going to look like a lot of weebles and wobbles and things falling apart, and I'm fascinated by it, and I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to where this is going to continually grow. I'm looking forward to me feeling better about the transitions that are happening in my personal life and in my home life. I'm looking forward to where all this is growing. And I'm being in trust. Y'all, please, please, please anchor in the trust into this new earth. It's such a root thing. Without trust, we don't feel safe. Without safety, we literally can't like align all the other upper chakras. Can't. So anchor into the trust. Trust that you got this, that you have a loving, supportive, vast, varied, diverse human group around you that support you, and you also have the universe that has your back. Universe is like, to me, universe gets like a little bump when we each expand. When we each have those moments of just like, oh my God, I'm in rock bottom. And then you're like, but I still want to live. Because I love me, or I love life. Or, a puppy comes up and licks you on the nose and you're like, hee, and you're like still crying because you're sad. Like, these are moments of expansion. When we can be vulnerable and cry in front of others and share our story and be authentic and be real and be raw. That's expansion. It's expansion for the experiencer and the witness. Every time. So anyway, that's the message that came through that I wanted to put out there. I love you. No matter where you are in your belief system. I may not like it if you are pointing your finger saying that just because someone says no, that they don't want to put something inside their body, that you're calling them an anti-whatever. Or that if someone chooses to not wear a mask, that they're not necessarily wanting to kill people. Maybe they just don't, it doesn't align for them to put that on their face. But I still love you. I still love you in the lack of grace that you're feeling and expressing. I still love you if you're not being kind. I still love you if you're being a total turd burglar and hurting people in this planet. I still love you because I know who you are in the core. And I love you if you're doing the work and you're going through it and you have good days and bad days. And I love you if you have all your shit together and all your ducks are in a row and you are just flying high. I love all of you in all the ways and days that you show up. I trust that we're all going to make it through this. We'll all reach that same finish line called death. Until then, let's live. Anyway, I love you so much. Take care of yourselves and each other. I look forward to seeing you all more. I'll put a link in the comment things, and it's in my bio and stuff. But if you're interested in like a one-on-one energy session, ancestral healing, like DNA activations, life guidance, cacao ceremonies, gatherings, communities that are consciously connecting, these things, click on my little link and see what speaks to you and reach out, please. And just take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And remember how loved you are. Okay, bye y'all.